Okay, we're back with Charlene Li, Forrester Research Analyst and co-author of the book Groundswell on Social Networks. Charlene, you guys did what's becoming more common, turning a blog that you had on social networking into a book. Talk a little bit about the experience and how that's very different than the old-style publishing a trade book like that.
Sure. We were writing the blog, and I've been researching this space for almost 5 years now, and there was just a book inside me someplace waiting to get out. So we got permission to move forward with that, but we also used the blog as a foundation for the book. One of the first things we did was say that we're going to write a book, and the second thing we did was we actually put out the outline of the book up onto the blog and asked people to give us comments. And people thought we were insane to do that we would be that open in the process. And I said, hey, look, if anybody can write a book off of an outline, go for it. But it was this sort of transparent process we wanted to do. That we thought was really a good way to do it. We'd ask for examples, we'd be giving things back into the community. We're publishing things like our social technographics ladder early on in the process to get feedback. It was part of the research process that we did at Forrester. So those blogs, the Forrester research, and then finally the book. The other thing that was interesting about the whole blogging process was that, again, we were creating this sort of community of people who were interested in what we were writing. And so we had a built-in marketplace so that as soon as the book was available, they all bought it. And now what we're seeing now a couple months in is that their bosses are now buying it at tenfold the numbers that they were buying it originally. So it's been a great way to develop the marketplace, to do research. There's no other way I would ever write or think about writing a book without having that community and interaction through the process.
Now, how about on the financial side with an advance or anything like that? How has that worked differently than it has with traditional publishing? Or did it depend on how many people read the blog? Because, as you said, you had a built-in audience, and did that help? And just in terms of the financial side, how that went?
Well, I can't disclose all the terms, but definitely it was an advance here from our publisher. And it definitely some of the things that were attractive to us was not only the content of the book, but also two highly respected authors who had worked together. Josh and I worked together for over 8 years together, so we yelled at each other. We knew each other really well. So they could see that we were good partners and wouldn't have all the sort of meltdowns that co-authorships often have. We also are really good and well-known with the press, so they knew that we could actually market the book. And I think finally the fact that we had a built-in audience, that we had been experts, we were already seen as experts in this space, was a tremendous marker of confidence for them. That we had the content, that we would be able to produce the book, have good quality stuff, and then also be able to market it. But in the end, if the content isn't good, the book doesn't sell.
Right.
And so I think in the end it was that those economics that sold it more than anything else.
But it has been selling, right? Based on what I saw on Amazon?
Yeah, it's doing
well.
really well. It's somewhere in the low hundreds usually. Sometimes it dips into the low 100s. So we're very thrilled. It's interesting. We did not. I did not. I can't say from our publisher, but I did not set out to write a bestseller. I wanted to write a book that would have an impact, that would really make it a lot easier. Again, what I was saying from the go, to have these companies create the strategy. So that number on Amazon is a nice validation that it's working, but I get the most satisfaction when somebody comes up to me with a book and it's dog-eared and underlined, and they're showing me the favorite passage that really has made a huge difference in the way they think about it. That for me is the most satisfying.
And last thing, really, since you just went through the process, any advice for someone who wants to turn a blog into a book?
I think, again, the biggest problem is that blogs often are single-spaced pieces of time. And it's really a very important thing to think about how does a blog roll up into a bigger idea. Again, individual blog posts gathered together in stories and to put into book. It's interesting. It's an interesting read, and we see a lot of books out there like that today. But they don't provide the unification of a book. They're not a book. And so I think you have to think about what the bigger story is that you have to tell. And from the very beginning, we had a story to tell first, and we happened to use a blog to help build it. It wasn't the blog first, and then came the book. So I think it's really important to think about what is your audience that you're trying to reach, your experience and knowledge with the audience, and then think about the book content as an entity of itself, not as a spin-off from the blog.
Okay, Charlene, thanks so much.